Hi, my name's Savannah.
I've taken every personality test known to man and the results are in. I'm insufferable. No. In an effort to finally get all you Myers-Briggs weirdos to shush, I would like to officially announce I am an INFP, sometimes though an INTJ, not really sure what's going on there. The Big 5 personality test says I am 98% open, which means I'm down for anything, but I'm also 75% neurotic, which means the thing I said I was down for is gonna haunt me forever, and I'm not gonna talk about it with anyone. 3-wing 4, don't really have a little comment for that. The fictional character I'm most like apparently is Audrey goddamn Horn, hell yeah, though I also got 72% Hannibal Lecter, don't know what that means. I'm apparently 48% difficult to get along with based almost solely on a completely nuclear amount of suspicion. The stars have finally written me back and it turns out I'm a Cancer, Sun, Libra, Moon, Aquarius rising. I can type 122 words per minute. That's not really the same kind of information as the rest of this, I just wanted to brag. So, given this information, do you feel like you know me better? Do you feel like you have a more complete picture of me as a person? Do you feel, dare I ask, closer? Wrong. Assuming you said yes. I maintain a healthy skepticism about personality tests in general, i.e. I think they're mostly bullshit, but in fairness, identity is complicated, and so is the world, growing ever more increasingly so, maybe. And these tests offer a tantalizingly succinct way to boil down your entire personhood into an ultra-analyzable and shareable little nugget so you can find more people who are like you, because, well, it's lonely out here for a bitch. But today we're digging deeper than that. Who are we? Why are we who we are? Can anyone hear me? Is anyone there? Hello? Hello? Hello, my name is Professor Sav and welcome to Philosophy 101. Put your hand down, I'm talking. I ran out of paint. If you already know what the Ship of Theseus is, you're about to roll your eyes back into your skull, but if you don't, you're about to have your mind blown. Just imagine a ship in a harbor that needs preserving. It's called the Ship of Theseus. Why? Don't worry about it. For simplicity's sake, let's imagine that every year for upkeep, one plank of the ship needs to be replaced, and let's say there's 100 planks. I don't know anything about boats. If there are 100 planks and one is replaced every year, in 100 years none of the original parts of the ship will be left. So, once all the planks are replaced, can we still call it the Ship of Theseus? What about when only half the planks are original? What about the moment the first plank is removed? When does it stop being what it once was? Or is a thing more than its individual components? Is a thing more the idea of itself rather than what it's made from? Or the story of itself? Does it rely on some unseeable sense of continuity? It gives me goosebumps to think about, man, because I just don't know. Obviously, this little logic puzzle isn't speaking strictly about maritime endeavors. It's a thought experiment used to talk about personal identity and the self as a perpetually changing and maybe in its nature unstable thing, subject to the whims of the physical and temporal world. It acknowledges identity as something that is constantly being reshaped and reinvented and amended, physically because of that cute little thing people like to say about your cells cycling through themselves once every 7 years, but also mentally and emotionally and contextually. I see baby pictures of myself, ugly baby pictures of myself, and know that as myself logically, but feel no recognition beyond that. Also separate but somewhat related, I hold the long-standing belief that it is incredibly embarrassing to have been a baby. I don't really like to have people in my life who knew me when I was a baby. I cannot be held responsible for the things that bitch did. Also, am I allowed to call a baby a bitch with me? Obviously that's an extreme example of the baby thing, but the question is, are you even the same you that you were yesterday or when I started the sentence? If you are the same person you were 30 seconds ago, then is there some unseen, unknowable thing that makes you not the same person at some point? Maybe the self is something instantaneous and by the time it's observed already gone, like a moment in a photograph, or more accurately a still in a flipbook. Or is it something not so fragile? I'm inclined to believe a changing you remains a you, but if so, what is the adhesive of you? What's the wicker binding you together? The body? The brain? Am I just a collection of traits? And what is I? What am I even saying when I say that? I don't know who I am. I kind of know what I like. I know what tastes good. I know what my favorite movies are. I know what I'm afraid of. I know what turns me on. I know how many words I can type per minute is 122. But again, like taking a personality test, these are all just things. And I haven't even talked about biological factors and how a non-negligible portion of your personality is entirely dependent upon whatever combination of hormones is currently raging its way through your body. I'm interested in the self as not just a collection of stuff, but in itself something nameable, something that exists regardless of what it interacts with. And because I struggled with socializing as a teenager and I'm now cursed to be obsessed with anything and everything to do with it for the rest of my life, there's another element to this, which is I do wonder if all the power And this identity conundrum lies with everyone except for you. So you can't see yourself. I don't even mean in a deep way. Yeah, I mean, you literally cannot. You can see yourself in pictures, which, as we all know, were invented to make otherwise normal and innocent people look completely insane. You can see yourself in videos, but that's flat, and you can see yourself in a mirror, but that's still flat and inverted. A fact that is harrowing to many based on the TikTok populace's fascination with flipping their faces horizontally. There is no true experience of yourself in 3 dimensions. You can't occupy a room with yourself. And there are some things that you just notice about others that you could never know about yourself, some minute idiosyncrasy of body language or tone. There are things that are unknowable to you about you, only experienced by others, so we consider that alongside the very real phenomenon that a large part of identity is social and performative and context-driven. It's because of these things that I wonder if the most honest essay of ourselves could only be written by someone else, someone close to us, how actually maybe the most authentic representation of who we are lies in someone else's ability and willingness to perceive us. I've occasionally come across in a way that I consider completely antithetical to the image that I have of myself in my head. But does it then matter who I am in my head if it doesn't match, when the whole point of life is to interface with the world via my avatar? I'm also interested in the idea of self as it relates to memory. Simply, you can put together at least a vague definition of you via the things you remember, but more and more we discover how flimsy memory is and how hackable it is. It's really easy to make things up or forget or amend what's happened to you, which isn't ideal when that's what you're basing most of your supposed personhood upon. So again, enter others, specifically enter nostalgia and why everyone is so obsessed with it. It's mass communal identity validation. It's a bunch of people pulling things out and going, is this you? And then you go, oh, it's me, is this you? And then they go, ah, yeah. Yes, we were there feeling that. The past isn't lost because here it is between us and here we are amongst it. No, I'm not crazy. This was my life, and that was how it felt. I, although cynical, am sympathetic to this. That all being said, I don't actually love the memory theory of personal identity. I don't love the idea that identity is made up of things that have happened to you rather than who you are. It feels really unforgivingly external to me. Not that forgiveness has anything to do with truth. God, fuck me. I want some nature over nurture. I'd like to think that there's something else. I don't want to say soul. I don't like saying soul. But I will. Whenever I think about souls, I think of the first live-action Scooby-Doo where they pull everyone out of the little soul soup. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. You fuckers love Scooby. When I talk about the soul, I'm not talking about an ooh, magic little ghost of my face. I think of it more as a word used to acknowledge that there's so much unknown about how we experience consciousness, and that cumulative blind spot is the soul, maybe. So here, what's left after all this? What is most quintessentially us? Are we most ourselves when unobserved, when the great performance of it finally ends? Is that the soul? You sitting in the shower, you dreaming. If people are just observing and knowing the performance of you, is there something greater inside that they can't know, that they must not know, something entirely inscrutable? I don't know. First, I'll say though that living to me doesn't feel like being gracefully brought into the world from somewhere else. It feels like having been ripped from the universal fabric and then becoming a separate, more volatile observer of it. Messier than lying flush against its surface. There's a total seclusion to the mind. Consciousness is an island you can neither escape nor populate. You're in there, of course. No one can ever really know what it's like in here. No matter how much you love somebody, you can never really know what it's like in there. And especially if what I said before is true about the self being instantaneous. No one can know me, let alone if me is constantly changing. And no matter how well I know myself, I'm constrained to the communication of who I am through language, which I love, but is often clunky, and it's just like an invention, like anything else. It isn't equipped for every emotional eventuality. All language is already operating in translation. You're trying to communicate what in their nature are wordless, abstract impulses. This is, I think, why I like writing, because the more accurately I can use this one tool I have, the better odds I face of being understood, which I find incredibly comforting. But yeah, this is something that really, really upsets me. Day to day, I'm quite shaken by it. And that's not to, I love being alone. I love being alone. I'm never happier than, here, I will set the scene. It's a November evening. I have a Northern Line live stream on. I have a glass of wine. I've just started a medium difficulty crossword puzzle and it's raining outside. That's it. Actually, scrap the video. That's my identity. I figured it out. I love to be alone. It's the lack of choice in the matter I find upsetting. And of course, what I'm talking about isn't just a loneliness as in there's nobody in my house. It's a loneliness no one will ever truly know what it was like for me to be alive except for me. and I'll never be able to truly know the people I love. It's hard not to see the world as actively hostile as a result. Just the most base level condition of your existence is that you're trapped somewhere. I guess I don't even know what I want. To put my brain in someone else's head for a second, for what? To have them go, oh, okay, I get it. Is it really that important? Does it really matter? Consciousness feels ill-equipped to deal with itself. It feels like an error. It feels like a mistake that I'm even here talking about it. Self is maybe an illusion brought on by the powers of a consciousness that got too big for its britches. Maybe the point of looking into all this is to find nothing at the end of it, complete dissolution of ego. Or maybe you are not your thoughts, but whatever the thing is that possesses the awareness of them.
I release a magenta tetragonal lattice kite into the clouds. Soon, only the black string remains. In the storm, cattle kneel, rafters mule. No color, no playground. At times, it seems we only know each other by a thread. But we love that thread.
Listen, these are answers questions. Once again, why am I talking about this? So, thinking about these things can maybe assuage an unsettled feeling within the self, helping to identify and align whatever desynchronization it is that you feel. This is all about finding happiness, contentedness, all of it, always. What I keep thinking about, though, is whatever all this talk made you feel, whatever it is you remembered or reflected on or realized, whatever paradoxes you noticed in yourself, your irrationalities and your compulsions and your mistakes and your flaws, multiply it by 8 billion, and now you understand why everything is so complicated. I think the point of this is that whatever we all are it. This is how everyone feels. This is how everyone feels. The seclusion of our minds, the performance of self, the simultaneous strangeness and certainty. I can't shake the feeling that more and more we are deliberately misunderstanding this fact, and therefore one another. I don't know if it's true. Maybe it's always been like this, but it's still incredibly frustrating to watch it happen. Imagine every person as you imagine yourself. Please, if you don't, nothing is ever going to get done. Nothing good. I'm such a sucker for like a shot of a high-rise at nighttime, and all the windows are glowing a little orange, and there's people inside all of them right next to each other without realizing. It makes me feel utterly connected to humanity. It looks exactly like what it feels like to live. All of us privately engaging in the exact same smoldering, telling absolutely no one. Our noses just inches apart, wondering if someone can see us, closing the blinds.
I am Steve. There are many other Steves, but there is only one that is me. I am Steve. I could have been a David or a Jean, but then I wouldn't really be me. And I am Steve in the morning, Steve in the eve, Steve in the mirror looking back saying, who is me? I am Steve.